Is Fergie really finally clearing off?
President Trump weighed in on the whole Andrew scandal overnight.
So damaging about this email is that it actually highlights the cynicism in which she's approached this.
A swift number of charities that came forward very quickly in a short amount of time to distance themselves from Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York.
This is the worst look Fergie has ever had.
Sarah Ferguson is reportedly facing severe cash flow issues that make retirement completely impossible. She cannot afford to see out her days in comfortable leisure. So the question royal insiders are asking with genuine concern is whether there's still a realistic chance she could publish a tell-all book, something like Fergie, My Story, and make millions from exposing royal secrets. Royal experts believe there's every chance she'll do exactly that, especially because her children's books have been systematically stripped from store shelves and her publishing deals have collapsed. Another day brings another crisis for the House of York. Just when King Charles thought the storm surrounding his brother had finally passed, a new Fergie bombshell is reportedly on the way, and royal insiders are warning it could be deeply harmful for the monarchy's carefully managed public image. Sarah Ferguson's next move could genuinely change everything about how the public perceives the royal family. And inside the palace, they're bracing for impact. The scandal surrounding Sarah Ferguson and her ex-husband, the former Prince Andrew, shows absolutely no sign of slowing down or fading from public consciousness. What started as quiet whispers in royal circles has now exploded into a full-blown institutional headache. Leaked emails have exposed both of them in shocking correspondence with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. And then came the announcement that genuinely rocked Windsor. Andrew will no longer be known as a prince and is being systematically forced out of Royal Lodge. Sarah Ferguson has been dropped from several charities after a leaked email showed her apologizing to disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. The bombshell email was reportedly sent to Epstein in 2011 and shows Sarah Ferguson apologizing for publicly linking him to pedophilia allegations.
The affairs of the royal family tells you that we are living in quite bizarre time.
Ever-evolving soap opera, that is, of course, what's happening over at Royal Lodge.
Several charities have cut ties with Sarah Ferguson. This is because of an email she reportedly wrote to Jeffrey Epstein, calling him a supreme friend.
An extraordinary splash from the Mail on Sunday are world-class when it comes to royal stories. Fergie's Epstein lies exposed in bombshell email.
Sarah's been told to pack up her belongings as well. She's reportedly desperately searching for a new place to live and has been firmly told she will absolutely not be joining Andrew on the Sandringham estate. After years of living comfortably under the same roof while maintaining their unusual divorced but living together arrangement, it seems the royal fairy tale has well and truly crumbled beyond repair. Here's where things take a genuinely dangerous turn for the monarchy. Royal expert Richard Fitzwilliams has warned publicly that a new Fergie autobiography could be very harmful for the monarchy. He told GB News explicitly, if she ever did, it could be very harmful. Any book written by an insider is harmful, but the whole point of an autobiography is that you want to be believed, and I think there would be considerable problems believing anything she said other than provable facts. The message is abundantly clear to anyone watching this situation unfold. If Fergie publishes her own unfiltered version of events, she could open the floodgates to revelations the palace has worked decades to suppress. A tell-all book could drag the institution back into chaos, just as King Charles desperately tries to steady the crown and move forward from the scandals that plagued his mother's final years. Fergie has never been afraid to tell her story publicly. From her first autobiography to her novels, she's consistently used her pen to shape her public image and control her narrative. But this time, the situation is fundamentally different. She's lost her home, effectively lost her Duchess title in practical terms, and lost her royal privileges. And she's doing it all while living under intense public and media scrutiny. If she's truly ready to distance herself permanently from the family, this could be her moment to finally speak without filters, without fear of consequences, and without the palace controlling the narrative or threatening her with loss of access. But the critical question royal observers are asking is whether Fergie's word can even be trusted at this point. Back in 2011, Fergie called Jeffrey Epstein a steadfast, generous, and supreme friend in written correspondence. When that language came out publicly, her team immediately claimed she only said it under threat from Epstein himself. But now more correspondence has emerged, and it doesn't paint a flattering picture of her judgment or honesty.
King Charles is battling with Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson to convince the Yorks to move out of the Royal Lodge.
President Trump weighed in on the whole Andrew scandal overnight.
King Charles is very keen to move Andrew and his ex-wife Fergie on. He doesn't want them to live there anymore.
The layers of duplicity and shallowness, this is a new low.
Some reports even suggest Andrew lied directly about when he ended contact with Epstein, which reportedly pushed King Charles to finally strip him of all remaining titles in an unprecedented move. And now both Andrew and Sarah have lost nearly everything that once tied them to royal privilege and protection. While the Yorks try desperately to move on with their lives, a new threat is actively brewing. Some sources wonder if the storm brewing is precisely what caused the drastic measures by King Charles and the firm statement issued last week. Royal experts are asking whether that's it for Fergie in terms of public life. But the answer seems to be no, never say never with Fergie. She's proven herself a great survivor over decades. She will quietly do things under the radar. There are plenty of people, particularly in places like China and the Middle East, who are quite happy to associate with her still, regardless of her scandals. Campaign Group Republic says it's considering launching a private prosecution against Andrew for alleged misconduct and abuse of power. Their CEO, Graham Smith, didn't hold back in his statement. It's a devastating indictment that we must resort to private prosecution. Royals should be treated equally under the law. That statement hit home because for many British citizens, Andrew and Sarah now represent everything the monarchy doesn't want to be associated with. Scandal, questionable money dealings, and entitlement without accountability.
I've read that Charles will somewhat try and ring-fence Beatrice and Eugenie as his nieces.
He's living in disgrace. He was stripped of his royal duties, and part of that is he's not really being paid by the monarchy anymore because he doesn't complete any royal duty.
Oh, I've got to say the King and Queen may be in Rome, but they just can't escape the ongoing scandals surrounding Prince Andrew, can they?
They shouldn't pay for the sins of the parents, clearly, but I wouldn't expect them to have any front and centre row. Don't expect to see them on the palace.
Inside Buckingham Palace, the atmosphere is described as genuinely grim. King Charles has been under enormous pressure to act decisively, and the message to the Yorks is crystal clear. Enough is enough. Sarah has quietly scrubbed her social media profiles of her Duchess title, replacing it with messages about truth, courage, and reinvention. It's been a steady but sustained stream of charities who've removed Sarah Ferguson or publicly distanced themselves from her association. There's now 6 organisations in total who've cut ties. Royal aides believe she's actively preparing to reinvent herself completely. But the pressing question is how exactly she plans to accomplish that. And if she's seriously planning a tell-all book or documentary, the palace could soon face its most unpredictable storm yet. Sources close to Sarah say she's determined to rebuild her life on her own terms without royal constraints. She's reportedly exploring new business ventures, book deals, and even major media appearances that would mark her full break from royal life. Some insiders claim she's already been in quiet preliminary talks with major publishers in both the UK and United States. Others say she's considering a documentary project, something raw and personal that would show the real Sarah Ferguson after decades of scandal and tabloid coverage. There's even speculation she may relocate abroad permanently, possibly to Europe or the Middle East, where she's maintained private connections and friendships for years. And if that happens, it could signal the final chapter of her royal story, the one where she leaves Britain behind for good, free from the palace's control, but also from its protection and security. Either way, her next move could decide whether she's ultimately remembered as the royal rebel who rose again, or the woman who brought even more chaos to an institution already struggling with public perception. And what about Andrew himself? The man once called the spares spare now finds himself without a title, without public duties, and soon without a home. It's understood he's been given weeks, not months, to vacate Royal Lodge. The property will return to the Crown Estate, and Andrew is expected to move into a considerably smaller residence on the Sandringham grounds. But behind the scenes, he's reportedly resisting the move. Insiders claim he's been stalling, insisting on renovation delays, and quietly negotiating for more time. He knows that once he leaves Royal Lodge, the last piece of his royal identity is permanently gone. And while he may be hiding behind closed doors, the world isn't done talking about him. Investigations could still deepen, with more leaked emails, potential legal challenges, and new details about his questionable finances likely to emerge. Some reports suggest he's become increasingly isolated, spending hours alone and avoiding family gatherings. Others say he's defiant, convinced he's been unfairly treated, and quietly plotting a personal comeback through private business ventures. But the reality is stark. The king's patience has completely run out. Andrew is living on borrowed royal time, and the countdown to his full eviction is well underway.
To be simply Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, with no letters after his name, no styles before his name, and to lose those military connections as well will really sting.
The reports are that King Charles has vowed to protect Beatrice and Eugenie.
What's happened with Andrew losing his title and now her losing Duchess of York, it just proves that the York brand is totally toxic.
It's becoming increasingly clear that even Fergie has finally had enough of Andrew. For years, she stood by him through scandal after scandal, insisting publicly they were the happiest divorced couple in the world. But that loyalty seems to have evaporated. Reports now suggest she wants nothing to do with him, not emotionally, financially, or professionally. Friends say the separation is more than symbolic. It's strategic. She's tired of being dragged down by his disgrace. And palace insiders genuinely fear that if the right publishing or media deal lands on the table, she won't hesitate to distance herself completely, even if it means throwing Andrew under the bus to save her own reputation. And that's exactly what makes a potential tell-all so dangerous for the monarchy, a woman with nothing left to lose and plenty of secrets to sell. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.